What is going on, YouTube people? Today we're going to take a little look at Prismatic Evolutions and how the sealed stuff has been holding up recently, and also take a quick glance at some graded sales for some of the big hits, as that inventory is now starting to hit the market. One of the things that's currently going on with Prismatic, pack prices, you can see I have on screen here, have basically been sitting between $12 and $13 a pack, give or take. ETBs have kind of stabilized at basically 140. They really have not changed much at all, while everything else has been seeing slight upticks. But the velocity of Prismatic, especially the ETBs and the packs, have seemed to have kind of stalled out. Now, they're not crashing, they're not going to zero or anything like that. They've just basically have kind of hit one of those stair steps that we talk about, where everything's just going to kind of sit at where it's at until either the supply dries up and things kind of level up to the next level, or the mythical reprint comes to save the world. And even if that happens, it probably just steps it down a little bit and doesn't really do much else. But a lot of the ancillary products are seeing pretty good increases. So like I said, packs currently sitting at about $12 to $13. ETBs, as I mentioned, have been sitting around the 140s. And you can see they've kind of fully rebounded from their release day drop. If I just zoom this out a little bit further, remember we had the pre-release prices hitting at it peaked out at about 150. Release day happened and crashed the prices down because all the inventory hit the market, down to about 110 for a few days in early February. And it has slowly crept back up, but it has seemed to have leveled out at around that $140 mark, really bouncing between 135 and 140. I know personally, I've seen them at a lot of local card shows that you could get them for 120 on the sticker. I've seen plenty at 120, even some at like 130, but most of them are stickered around the 120 range. 125. If you're paying cash, you could get one around that price if you really want to go out of your way and look for one. The PC ETBs have actually pulled back a little bit, but not really. They are still sitting in that $340 to $350 range, and obviously, unless the second wave comes, we have not seen any sort of reprint on the PC ETBs. I still expect more stock to hit the Pokemon Center website at some point in time, but it's not going to be enough to make much of a dent in that price. It might pull it back a little bit, but it'll pop right back up again. One of my favorite products, and one that I probably have... Do I have the most money invested into this when it comes to Prismatic? Probably. This or booster bundles. But I have a handful of these. The surprise boxes have been creeping back up since release. These started off the gate at about $60 when everything crashed on release day. Once again, you can see the release day pricing. One graph crashes and another graph goes to the moon. That is the price crashing and the supply going way up on release day. And then it kind of slowed down and has now been building its way back up again from the lows of the 60s. Currently almost up to about $80. You can see the cheapest one right now is $70 plus $8 shipping. So these have rebounded quite nicely on the secondary market. Remember, these have 4 packs plus the stamped promo with the 1 in 9 chance of hitting the Umbreon out of it. Booster bundles, the newest product line to market, are currently sitting at about $70-$75 a pop. Once again, same thing happened, rinse and repeat. The pre-order prices were super high. A bunch of supply hit on release day. The prices cratered down to, at their lowest, about $60-$65. They are now currently upwards of $75 to $80, kind of depending on the day, on the booster bundles. Remember, 6 packs here, so if you figure at about $12 a pack, that would put you over a little over $70 for a booster bundle, and then a little bit of a slight premium on the fact that it is sealed. So it's not surprising that this quickly got right back up to where it probably should be, in that $70 to $80 range. I don't know that it's going to go much higher than like 80 or so in the short run, as long as pack prices stay at $12 to $13 per pack. And then last but not least, of some of the ancillary products, the binder collections. Once again, same thing. If I zoom this out, you see the price crash, the supply drastically increase. These bottomed out at $60. These are 5-pack, 5 packs plus the binder. So these bottomed out at $60. They are now currently sitting at about $75 to $80. Have climbed back up. Have also kind of flatlined a little bit, staying relatively level at about $75 for a few weeks now. So this is one of the products that has kind of leveled off and has stayed there for a hot minute. Booster bundles still finding themselves, still a little bit new to the scene. Surprise boxes still climbing. PC ETBs and regular ETBs kind of flat. Packs kind of flat. So that is kind of where we currently sit with Prismatic. We'll look at some singles here in a second. I think part of what's happening is, I don't want to say the wind's coming out of the sails a little bit here, but hype is now focusing on Journey Together. Prismatic is still super popular. That's not going anywhere. But I think people's eyeballs, and more importantly, their wallets, are now throwing money at Journey Together and also prepping for Destin's Rivals. And I wonder if that is that spreading around of cash is not crashing Prismatic by any means. We just looked at all the pricing, but is slowing things down. It's just leveling things out, which honestly is perfectly normal. That's what we should be seeing. I know anyone that's come in new is used to prices doubling and tripling overnight or on a weekly basis. That is not how it typically works. You need these level out periods for things to stabilize, inventory to flush through, and then it'll slowly level up or come down if we get reprints. But that's all completely normal while a product's in its life cycle. Things aren't supposed to double and triple overnight. It's supposed to be slow and steady wins the race on this stuff. And I feel like a lot of people have kind of forgotten about that. Now, on the single side, I pulled up market movers, went to price movements, and threw in Scarlet and Violet Prismatic, PSA 10, and sorted by most expensive, went back 30 days. You can see the Umbreon still going pretty strong at about 3K. It is down slightly, ever so slightly. Some of the other ones, though, all performing pretty well. A lot still going up. You see more green than red when we scroll through on this, and a lot of the red that you see is not large numbers. That's down a whopping $2.50. That's down 10%, 2%, 30% on the Flareon, a little bit of a bigger dive. But for the most part, there is way more green on here. Now, asterisks, graded supply is still low, especially for the cheaper stuff. Remember, PSA is slammed right now. So the under $500 cards, those things are still working their way through the system. We haven't seen all those yet. That supply has not hit the market yet. It is coming. The stuff that we have seen is artificially limited because a lot of it's still sitting at PSA or on its way to PSA. So do keep that in mind. The Umbreon, which is a $3,000 card, we're seeing a lot more sales on because it's getting sent at a higher tier and graded much, much faster. You know, you send that thing in at the appropriate dollar value level, you're paying $50 to $75 to get that graded. You get the cut to the front of the line and your card comes out the other end pretty quickly. I was curious. I went and did over on gemrate.com. Shout out to Gemrate, friend of the channel. He has a universal card search. I threw in the Prismatic Umbreon, the SIR. There are already almost 2,000 graded on the pop report. And when you look down here, you could see the numbers all laid out. About a 40% gem rate at PSA, 703 PSA 10s already on the SIR Umbreon. BGS coming in at 40%. SGC, none have been graded. CGC, about 57%. So you can see a bulk of these are going to PSA. No surprise there. With BGS and CGC in second and third. No real surprise there. SGC does not get a lot of Pokemon love, so no surprise there on that one either. But basically about a 40-ish% gem rate, unless you're CGC. It looks like they're grading it a little bit easier. But that's quite a decent number already, and obviously that is going to continue to grow as time goes on. So do keep that in mind whenever you're looking at these early graded sales. I don't want to say take it with a grain of salt, but at least side-eye it a little bit until we see more inventory flush its way through the system. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.